Hello and welcome back to the Money Bear Podcast. This is your host, Chloe Daniels, better known as Chloe Bear Money Coach on the internet. Y'all, we have a freaking awesome episode today. I was absolutely blown away by Mandi Money. We were talking about negotiations. I love talking about negotiations, and she blows every story on negotiations that I have ever heard out of the water. Like, I don't know anybody else who's gotten a sign-on bonus doubled. And maybe that just means I'm not surrounding myself with the right people or something along those lines. Granted, these days the people I surround myself with are all entrepreneurs, so we don't really talk about that. But her story on how she was able to scale her income is truly incredible. And I love that she has the emphasis on quitting and making money by quitting. It's incredible. I can't wait for you guys to listen. So that's who we've got on today. And I figure we'll start this call off by talking about my own negotiation experience. I mentioned my own negotiation experiences a little bit in the conversation that we have, but what I need to tell you guys, I have a little bit of a confession. I didn't negotiate probably my first 2 or 3 jobs because I was afraid. I thought, who am I to be asking for this kind of salary? Who am I to not just accept what they're giving me? Who am I to insert whatever imposter syndrome here? And it wasn't until I want to say probably my 3rd promotion that I was like, I'm not just going to take what they give me. And the good thing is for me, when I was moving up in the first company that I worked at, which was a nonprofit, I had the privilege of being able to write my own job description. So, whenever we were getting ready to plan for the next year, and luckily where I was at, I had the opportunity to design what I wanted to do because the work was available and we needed the help. And so, when that time came, I always wanted to make sure that I was incorporating things that were very much a next level position, that were very much going to take me to the next level. And I made sure that my desire to do that was part of the conversation all year long. One of the things that I think we forget when specifically negotiating for a pay raise or a promotion within the company that we're at is that can't be a conversation that happens at the very end of the year when we're already got our budgets done, you're having your annual review. This is something that needs to be a conversation all year long. And in fact, when I had every new position, I had been planning for that new position from the time that I got my last position. So I'd get a promotion and I would immediately start talking about whatever my next promotion was going to be. The reason for that is because I always wanted it to be top of mind of my boss. I wanted them to know that I was the type of person who wanted to continue to grow. And I also wanted to make it clear that if I wasn't continuing to grow and getting new opportunities and smashing those opportunities, then I probably wouldn't end up staying because I was a growth oriented person. And because of that, because I was able to ask for new opportunities and kill those new opportunities, do a good job, and then ask for a promotion, I kept getting those promotions. So, actually, at my very first company that I worked at, I was there for, I want to say 3 years, and I got 4 promotions in the 3 years that I was there. And I don't think that's normal necessarily, but it was because I was constantly talking about it. And to be fair, when I got hired, I was probably underhired. I was hired as a development assistant and I stayed as a development assistant for about a year. And after that, I was I was a specialist for 6 months, and then I got promoted to a manager, and then I was promoted again to another different type of manager with a pay raise. And it was because I really showed a lot of initiative and I made sure that conversation was happening all year round. The last thing we want to do is come to that annual review and say, hey, here's a list of all these cool things I did. Are you going to give me a promotion now? That's a really easy way or a really good way to make sure your promotion doesn't happen for another 6 months or another year because it takes time to make these things happen, to incorporate it. So if you're able to prepare your people as soon as you can, as far in advance as you can, I think we all have a better chance of success than if we were just like, surprise, I want to be promoted. So that's what I always recommend when you're going in. Always be growth oriented. Always talk to your boss about what's next for you, what you want to be doing, where you see yourself going, if you're on track for that, if your goals are lining up with that. That's going to make the conversation a lot easier. And Mandi talks about doing that in a very different way, in a way that you are looking for that next position, and you are a no-brainer for the next position outside of your company. So I am so excited to be able to have her expertise on this show. So I'm not going to bore you guys with much more in this ramble section, the Clobert ramble portion. That's really what we should call it, the Clobert ramble corner. We need something that alliterates. But anyway, instead, we're going to dive into it. And before we do, friendly reminder to please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you haven't already downloaded the free Get Your Money Right guide, I highly recommend you do that. That's over at thelazyinvestorscourse.com/guide. The link's down in the show notes, guys. It's always there. It's been there from the beginning. So check that out. And I hope you guys enjoy this week's episode. All right, welcome back to the Money Bear podcast. Today we have a guest that I am super excited to have on. I've been following Mandi Money for a while now because she's got some crazy stories about how she's able to negotiate big bucks from corporate America. Mandi, welcome to the Money Bear podcast.
Hey, Clobert, how you doing?
I guess I'm so excited to have you on. We actually met, what was that, a month ago in FinCon?
2 months ago?
Yeah, because it was early September and we're at the end of October now. So time has been flying. It's been crazy.
I know, but that was it was so fun to get to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe you were introduced to me as like a ball of sunshine, and you did not disappoint.
And for those of you who are listening, the person who called me a ball of sunshine is Mark from Better Wallet. And I'm like, really? I was like, because our relationship is like brother and sister. We're always just giving each other shit. So the fact that he like complimented me, I was like, oh, he does really love me.
Brothers and sisters do.
Yeah.
I've been bragging on my little brother publicly, but his face, no, never.
Exactly. For folks who have never heard of you, Mandi, tell us who you are. Give us your elevator speech. Tell us what you do on the internet and what you do in real life. Give us the things.
Oh gosh, how much time we got. All right, y'all. These days, I am the founder of the MandiMoney Makers, which is an exclusive online community for women of color looking to achieve their greatest career ambition. So I coach women of color. I focus exclusively on this audience because as a woman of color coming up in corporate America, I started as a journalist, transitioned into fintech, became a big boss, on track to become a VP, loved it by all measures, was killing it, still found myself feeling like there's something else I should be doing. There's something else I need to do. So I started Mandi Money Makers just a year ago, and it's been incredible. But I didn't just become an entrepreneur. I've always been a side hustler. I started a podcast called Brown Ambition in 2015. So you may have heard of Brown Ambition, if not me. And Brown Ambition is a platform and a show all about centering the women of color experience and like demystifying and normalizing conversations around achieving financial wealth and achieving not just wealth, but like a healthy, holistically great life and being unapologetically ambitious in that way. So I've been out here in these streets for a while. Okay.
Heck yes. When did you start that podcast?
That was 2015.
2015. Yeah, 7 years in. Damn, that's impressive.
Yeah, never missed a week yet. Hardly ever.
Oh my gosh.
In labor.
Isn't that incredible? Because like I can think of a million projects that I've started and stopped and could never be consistent with. So the fact that you've been able to do that for 7 years and never missed an episode, just need to give you an applause for that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it goes down to my partner too, Tiffany, the budgetnista Alice. She and I we made a commitment 7 years ago and we have not reneged on it. Like we just show up for each other. And it's really wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. A good partner makes all the difference for sure. I love your negotiation story that I feel like you are famous for, getting that 6-figure sign-on bonus. Can you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
I was like, which one? I've got a couple of 6-figure signing bonuses.
Shit.
So the thing is, my story is really on, and this is my point of view. My point of view is that when I looked back on my career the past 10 years, really 12 years, I had gone from making 30K to over 300,000. And I have a 4-year college degree. I have no special alphabet soup next to my name, no certificates, no MBA, anything like that. I really quit my way to wealth. And I did not just quit, but I negotiated really strategically throughout my career. And so that's what I teach. I teach women how to look for opportunities to move through their career and jump from one opportunity to the next. So that's quitting. And then when you quit, like what I have discovered and what I've seen play out for so many more women in my community is that you never have a stronger position for negotiating than when you're quitting one great opportunity for another great opportunity. Persuade you. They got to poach you. They got to get you. They got to dangle the carrot and make sure it's juicy enough. So Yeah, that six-figure sign I think you're talking about the big one when I got them to double my signing bonus,
Yes.
basically by saying I wasn't excited by it. So here's the thing, and I teach this in my Nail Your Negotiation masterclass, which has been so fun for me. I basically took all my negotiating experience and whittled it down into 5 key strategies. And what's maybe surprising is that I don't talk very much about the negotiating itself. Like when people think about negotiating, they're like, I'm at a table and they're
Mm.
going to slip a piece of paper across the table and say, here's what we can offer you. And then you're like, can you do 20% more? But you really want 5%, but you're going to go back and forth till you get to that 5%. No. So my whole strategy is about doing all the pre-work so that by the time you get to the negotiating table, they're so excited to hire you. Your
Mhm.
value is so inherently clear. They know that you are one of one, number one alien superstar, Beyonce style, and they want to fight for you. And at that point, it's not even a question. It's what can we do to make this happen? We love Mandi. She's clearly the best candidate for this role. We have gone through this long interview process. Give this girl what she wants. Going backward, the first thing you got to do is make them excited to hire you. You'd be surprised like how many women, especially women of color, who are just we just are told by society to just make ourselves smaller and don't brag and don't be too ambitious. And if you brag, you're like somehow too big for your britches. And who do you think you are and all of that? But it's so important. You can't be the best kept secret. And so I work with women just on the mindset of
Mm.
sharing their accomplishments, actually deepening their impact through LinkedIn, like showing their work, what they've accomplished by seeking out their own opportunities to create platforms where they can speak and share their brilliance. They're
Mm.
getting themselves out there and they're becoming known and associated with greatness in their field so that you can attract the opportunities that can pay you these big, juicy sign on bonuses. I never would have been interviewing for a big old bank in America to be their spokesperson and to get that huge signing bonus if I hadn't had Brown Ambition, if I hadn't
Mhm.
been out there sharing my platform, my voice, my teachings on financial empowerment for women and people of color, like if I hadn't been sharing that good work, that
Mhm.
LinkedIn message never would have hit my inbox. So you see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's like
Yeah.
you think it's that negotiating like at the table, but I argue it's everything that leads up to
I
that really
love
puts you
that.
in a strong position.
Yeah, that's amazing because I think we're so used to, as a culture, we're so used to like posting about our wins on social media, but we're not used to doing that in a strategic way on LinkedIn. So, this
Yeah.
whole idea of we're already doing that, we're sharing the highlight reel all of the time on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. And I think it's a little bit less than what it used to be now. But like when it
Mm.
comes to LinkedIn, it's especially folks in our generation, we're silent on LinkedIn unless it's like there's like particular people out there, at least that's been my experience in my community, is like nobody's out there like being a LinkedIn pro. But I love that because it's like an extension of what we're already doing, but being strategic about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are frustrated and they feel like, oh, I'm especially during the pandemic when it felt like everyone was getting a new job and there was all this money out there. And I was thrilled because finally people were like on the quit boat with me. Because I
Yeah.
was always like, hell yeah, we got to quit our way rich. That was always my strategy. But it became a lot more under like recognizable and destigmatized during the pandemic. And there was that like FOMO, the fear of missing out on opportunities that drove people, I think, to be more opportunistic and to take new opportunities and quit. But like that being said, there's so many people who still feel like, did I miss the boat? I feel like I'm the best kept secret. No one's coming to me with these big signing bonuses. How is it happening for everyone else and not me? And I argue, how can people find you? You have
Right.
to be poachable. Like you have to be make it easy, like to be the lowest hanging fruit in in the best way possible so that they know where to find you. So even being on LinkedIn is a big first step. Actually filling out your profile so that you're explaining your experience and where you've worked and you're active enough so that not only are you appearing on LinkedIn in recruiter searches, but that you're reminding your entire network that you exist on a semi-consistent basis. No idea how many opportunities I got because I posted something and someone I used to work with was like, "Oh yeah, hey, you exist. I know that you do this. Hey, I'm going to connect you with someone
Mhm.
because I reminded them like, "Hey, hi."
Here. I
Yeah.
love that. And it's like such a simple thing that we can do, that we can incorporate into our life, is making sure that we're putting that into the schedule. Did you,
Yeah.
so in your career, which at this point, how long has your career been approximately?
I think it started in 2010. I got my first big girl job in newspapers. I was a
Okay.
print journalism major. That was legal to teach me that and take my money.
How dare they? How
I know.
dare they?
They're like,
Print. Oh my God, that's so niche.
you're gonna have a degree in writing only for paper, which yeah, and then I graduated in 2009 into the Great Recession, and yeah. So anyway, about 12 years now I've been
12
in
years. So then how many times did you quit and move on to another job?
6 times in 10 years.
Damn. So an average of every 2 to 3 years.
It looks that way, but when you look on paper, my last job, I was there for about 5 years in total. So
Mhm.
my quitting was happening early in my career. My first job, I quit
Oh.
after 1 month.
Oh, okay. And I
Yeah.
love that because I think so many people I've actually got this question recently where somebody was like, "Hey, when is it too soon to leave a job?" And my answer was, "It's never too soon as long as you got another job lined right up. If you
Yeah.
got something another good offer, slide right in, man."
You gotta weigh the pros and cons. I think that's definitely one of the hangups people have when they talk to me about quitting is, "Well, I don't wanna burn bridges, and I don't want people to look at my resume or my LinkedIn and think that I'm just gonna be job hopping around." And as a professional storyteller, I am all about selling yourself and telling your own story in a way that people don't really have an opportunity to judge you. By that, when I tell the story of why I quit after just 1 month, people are like, "Oh, yeah, we support that." I was making $15 an hour as an
Mhm.
education reporter at a rapidly shrinking newspaper publication in Gainesville, Georgia. And I got
Mhm.
an opportunity to move to New York City for twice or maybe 3 times the pay in magazines, which I had studied. And I think if I explain that this was a bigger challenge in the field that I really wanted to be in with a pay rise during a recession, I think people understand that.
Yeah.
And you also have to like weigh the cons of did I piss off people at my job? Sure, I'm sure I did. Hey, Mitch. Sorry. That's the name of my editor. But I think you have to weigh the pros and cons of are these people going to have a deep influence on the rest of your career? And in my case, I was switching sectors. It was still journalism, but I was moving to New York and I was moving to magazines, and it wasn't going to have that big of an impact on my career.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, how did you at such a young age know that? Have the confidence to do that? Was it more just like you're like, "You know what? I'm willing to take a bet on myself. This is something that I wanna do. This is what I studied. This is what I wanted to go for." So I think sometimes, especially when you're that young, that just having the confidence to be able to do that can be a big barrier.
Damn, thanks for asking that because I recognize that and I've been asked that before. And for me, it really goes back to, and I don't think enough young women have opportunities to build that trust in themselves and build that
Mhm.
confidence. For me, what helped me build that confidence is I mentioned I graduated in 2009. I didn't get my first big job until 2010. That's because after graduation, I turned down a job offer and I moved to South America and I lived abroad during, not the pandemic, during a recession. And I was living on my own in a foreign country and I was working unpaid for an online news site. I'm still trying to like do my thing, but I just wanted to explore something different and look for, I don't know, have an adventure. And I think that those
Mhm.
months I spent living abroad really helped. And I had these really pivotal moments that are still so visceral to me where I just recognize I can do anything. I climbed
100%.
my ass up Machu Picchu at 5 in the morning by myself, and no one knew where I was in the world, and I was okay, and I could figure it out. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to pack up and go move to a different country, but test yourself. Like, start when the stakes are low, giving yourself opportunities to try something, giving yourself permission to try something different, even if that's like everyone in high school works at jobs at the outlet mall like I did in high school. Maybe you want to go work in a different field, or maybe you want to intern for your uncle's corporation or your mom's corporation, or just do something a little different or pursue a passion of your own to build that trust. Now, I'm not going to say that I did not agonize over that choice. Like I remember like vividly being in my dad's old like Jimmy Jeep and the windows wouldn't even close because they were so old. They were falling down. I had to wedge cardboard in the window. I was using his car when I was working, and it was freezing cold and it was like snowing. And I was on the highway, like, how can I just walk away from this job? Um, but I think it was just, it's about taking a chance on yourself. And at that point, I had proven that worst comes to worst, and this is like, what's the worst case scenario? I moved to New York. I suck. They fire me, whatever. I'll find another job. Like I
Mhm.
had confidence. And guess what, Chloe? That's exactly what happened. I got 3 months later.
No way!
Did.
3 months, you said?
3 months later, and this is not a quit. This is one of I was laid off 3 months after moving to New York.
Talk about building resilience at an early age. Holy crap.
Yeah, so that was an incredible opportunity for me. In hindsight, it sucked at the time. I was like broke, I had no money that summer, I was unemployed. And but for me, what it taught me was what it felt like to have no options financially.
Mm.
I had to literally take the next job that would have me. And it ended up being a job that I was overqualified for, so I was undervalued. I tried to negotiate. They said no, but it was such a good experience in the sense that it helped me break that romanticized image we have of our employers being caring
Mm.
about us, and if you're loyal to them, they'll be loyal to you. I did great work while I was there for those couple of months. It didn't matter that I was nice and everyone liked me and I did everything right and I got all A's in college. It didn't matter. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, the bottom line is the bottom line.
Yep.
And for me, that made it even easier to move forward, putting myself first. So I'm not saying I hope everyone gets laid off, but for me, it certainly is part of that fabric that created this person.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because I agree with you in the talking about moving abroad, giving you that level of confidence that's
Yeah.
indescribable.
Well,
I
you're a
lived in,
huge traveler too. That's why I feel like
yeah,
I was like, "This is my girl. We gotta chat."
100%. I lived in China for a couple of years, and China was completely different than what I had ever experienced. I barely spoke the language, and it was just really difficult. I didn't have smartphones like we did right now, and I wasn't able to like easily get around in the same way that now we can. But coming back, like when I left for China, I didn't have that confidence. I was just kind of, it was like the naive stupidity confidence of, yeah, let's move to China. Everything's going to be fine. And then I got there, and it was one of the hardest things that I'd done. It was incredibly difficult, but I did it. And there were things that I, even now, 10 years later, that blow my mind that I was able to get through. But when I came back to corporate America, I was like, oh, this stuff, this is not life or death.
Yeah.
This is simple. It really helps you put things in perspective. And like you said, it just gives that just, I don't know, superhuman feeling almost of I can do whatever I put my mind to as long as I really wanted.
I've gotten on the wrong bus in a foreign country and ended up at the end of the line at the bus depot, having no idea where you are and not able to communicate, and everyone yelling at you to get off the bus. And
Oh yeah.
who can do anything?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, like, the level of stress I remember not a bus, but it was a taxi cab, and in China, it was notorious in Wuhan, sometimes if you were a foreigner getting into a taxi, sometimes they'd mess with you just to run the bill up,
Mhm.
and this drive that should have taken about an hour ended up taking 4 hours, where he just kept, like, driving us around and around, and I was so scared because I didn't know where I was, I didn't know how to communicate, I didn't wanna make him mad, and like eventually I got home. I don't remember what happened. I just like eventually got home. But it's stuff like that where it's obviously I don't wish anyone to be in that situation, but it does change you and it does build resilience in a way that so everyone the takeaway today is move to another country and just figure it out. Good luck.
I do a lot of baby step. I'm just like I zoom out to a big thing, and I'm like, okay, so like bringing that to back to earth for some people,
Yeah.
it's small things. Like there are women out there who struggle sending their food back to the restaurant kitchen if it's
Oh
not
yeah.
if thankfully I was raised by a father who would literally return his french fries to Wendy's if they were not the right temperature. So it used to
Ah.
mortify me, but now I am him. Him and I have turned into him. I'm like, excuse me, my order's wrong. I would drive
Uh,
all the way back. Anyway, so yeah, it's small things and it is and asking for more money early in your career, even if you think you're going to be told no
mm,
because you have no leverage. You're early in your career, that your value hasn't been proven yet. You don't have all the impact and the experience. Ask anyway, just so that you realize you can ask and you won't die.
yes, it's
Ask so
huge.
they won't renege your offer just because you asked. I was told no the first 2 times in my career I tried to negotiate, but I survived and I kept asking and eventually those eventually those no's turned to yeses down the line.
Yeah, and that's such a true thing I think that so many women actually say is, "Well, what if they take the offer away?" Because you do that worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario if I ask this money? And I've had that conversation even recently where it's, what if they just decide I'm so greedy that they take the offer off the table? And it's if for some crazy reason that happens, which I've not heard of that happening before, that's probably not somebody you would want to work with anyway. That's like a revealing of who this company is, and they don't value you.
People like to use the exceptions to freak themselves out. I have heard
Yeah.
that happened in a couple of like maybe once or twice because whenever I say that, someone's always, I know someone and that happened to them.
Mm,
I'm like, cool. So is that person's story going to be your story? And also, it's not the norm. You can't go looking for reasons to be even more scared. You have to tell. If I looked at all the statistics about how much Black women earn, and do we make it to VP level positions like I was on my way to, and do we make multiple six figures? Hell no. The
right.
statistics are not kind to us yet. And in spite of, and nevertheless, here I sit. So it's about looking at what you may see and what stories society, data, media tell you, and then deciding for yourself what your story is going to be and completely create. And again, it's about, again, like that power of traveling and creating something different. We can do it. We can
Yeah.
decide that we can have a different story,
Mhm.
start writing it.
So for you, when you decided, you know what, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna ask for more money after having those two situations where you negotiated and it didn't work out, what was there something that you did differently the next time? Was there something that you like started changing? What was the process like for you?
I quit. So the thing is, I said there's no more powerful moment to negotiate than when they are poaching you from a job
Mm.
that you already have and they need to woo you and get you away. So the first two times I negotiated in my career, I one was unemployed, taking a new opportunity. I
Mm,
was like, "Can
mhm.
I have more money?" They're like, "Bitch, it's the reset. Like you should be paying us to recruit you." No, there's no more money for you. And the second time I was poached, true. However, I had no experience in what I was about to be doing, writing for
Mhm.
Ooh, my husband's calling me. Hold on one second.
Hi, husband.
Hi. Hey, what's up? I'm taping a thing. Yep. Okay, bye. Sorry. And
No,
I
you're good.
gotta make sure it's not a daycare kid thingy, but let me turn
Right.
do not disturb. Okay, where was I? Don't tell me. Oh yeah. The second time, yes, I was getting poached technically, but I was getting a role where did not have a lot of experience in what I was about to do. They were taking a chance on me.
Mm.
Yes, I tried to negotiate, but the answer was, "Listen, where's your value proposition here? It's a decent salary, so just take it." Also, it was a raise from what I already had, about 10 or 15K more. Two times, heard no. The third time, I was in a position where I had a couple of years under my belt of experience at that point, demonstrating my excellence in that field as a financial reporter for a big site called Business Insider, and Yahoo Finance came calling. And
Mm.
when they called, it was because my work was constantly showing up on the front page of Yahoo because they were syndicating it. And I knew if I kept getting my content syndicated by Yahoo, I would be getting noticed by them. And so I was
Mhm.
really starting to write not for my job anymore, but for them. I was like, "Well,
Mm.
Yahoo liked this story."
Mm.
Well, it worked. And in that case, they came to me because of my work product and how great my professional reputation, my quality of work, and I had more leverage. And so when I negotiated that time, I was able to get bumped from 60K to 80K base salary. And that was a successful negotiation, wildly successful. I
Mhm.
was sweating it the whole time. But the difference is I was quitting for a new opportunity. And by that point, they were poaching me because of my talent.
And you had this track record of look at what I'm already doing for
Right.
you. Like these things are already coming to your page. That's incredible. And so the pattern just continued of like preparing yourself to have a conversation that was like a no-brainer, essentially.
Yeah, when they come to you because they've seen your work, and I still have that screenshot. I save all my emails. And I went back and I found that email, and the email literally was, "We've seen your work. We really like it. We think you'd be a good fit. Will you reach out?" And there's every job from henceforth that I quit, I only quit when I was approached by a similar email like that
Mm.
opportunity because they saw my work. So that's why I'm like, make them excited to hire you, be associated with excellent work product, and then don't be shy about sharing that work product, excuse me, so that you become associated with, okay, Mandy, Chloe, whatever your niche is, your industry, they recognize you and they're like, if I hire that person, I'm not going to be having to train them. Like they're going to come in, they're going to know what
Mhm.
they're talking about. It's really powerful.
It is.
Really
Yeah. And you talked about too the whole not being excited thing. So I will definitely want to talk about that. I have some personal experience with that as well. When
powerful.
I had my biggest pay increase was like at least from switching a job was when I was working at a nonprofit and went into the private sector as a consultant. And at the time when I was reading the job description, I was like, I want the money, but this job looks boring as hell. Like this is not even remotely interesting. There's no travel. It's literally just like maybe a quarter of the work of what I was already doing, but a lot more money. And so when they gave me the offer was a little bit lower than I was expecting. And I remember I accidentally laughed. I accidentally like was like, "Psh, really? That's what you think you're gonna pay me?" And I just said, "Yeah, I appreciate the offer. I'm definitely will consider it, but I would be able to more seriously consider it if you were able to make it this number." And I was able to give myself another $10,000 raise because I didn't want it. I didn't care. It was like, you guys can take me or not. I know I'm going to have another opportunity, but that made negotiating so much easier. For you, when you were like, this doesn't excite me, what was that conversation like with this company that you were able to double your sign on bonus?
It was one phone call and an email, but the difference is I really wanted this job. It was my dream job. It was the pièce de résistance of my entire career, what I've been leading up to.
Mhm.
Done, done. For me, it was more high stakes because I really fucking wanted this job, and I
Mm.
knew I remember the head of the PR at this company accidentally sent me a PowerPoint presentation of all the people they were considering, including me, and when I tell you the people on this list, way bigger than me. Yeah, anyway, and, like, I was sweating it. But the thing is, like, in that case, I knew I wanted it, but I also was very confident that I was the perfect fit for it. And at that
Mm.
point, I had been such a long interview process, and I knew they wanted me. Like, they had made that really clear. And I knew if I had beat all those people, that I was someone that they valued. And it's also understanding, like, in the private sector, that they have budgets for this. It's
Mhm.
much easier to negotiate sign-on bonuses and increasing them than base salary sometimes. And your base salary is your salary for the year, like say it's 75K. But then signing bonuses and equity grants on top of that, those are like discretionary funds that
Mm.
don't hit the company's bottom line in the same way as annual salaries that are going to be like hitting their books year after year in perpetuity. For a one-time cash payment, they're much more willing to negotiate that. And I knew that from my experience managing a team in fintech and being on the other side as a manager negotiating and, oh, the candidate has another job offer, so let's sweeten their equity offer, let's sweeten their
Mm.
signing bonus. So when I got my initial compensation offer, I was fine with the base salary, but the signing bonus was 50K. And what I said is I hopped on the phone with the recruiter and I said, I got the offer, it seems pretty strong, but I can't lie, I'm just not feeling that excited about the signing bonus and equity. I don't feel like it reflects the level of excitement that I have for the role, the
Mhm.
level of excitement that I feel that they have to have me in the role. What can we do? And next day I had an email from him. I was like, well, we're going to increase your signing bonus from 50K to 125, and here's 100K of equity. And I was like, great, thanks.
I'd be like exploding on the inside. Holy shit, I just did that.
God, it felt good.
Damn! And like the thing too, which I think is so incredible about that is that was your dream job. That was what you wanted so
Yeah.
bad. And like you still took it. Like you still negotiated. You still so many people would get that first offer of their dream job and be like, this is amazing. I can't
I'm
believe I
so
got it.
grateful.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to
so
take it.
grateful. Let me just swip it up. And you're like, pay me more.
Let me take just a little bit more.
Hell yes, that's incredible. And for those who are listening thinking like, "Oh my god, I could never do it," because they're afraid of the response. What was the kind of response you got? It sounds like it was a simple, "Here you go."
Oh, okay, I'll talk to the I think the hiring manager, whatever the department head was. I
Mm.
knew because I knew he was excited. I was the person I was interviewing. I'll talk to the team and let you know. And the thing is, every department at these big companies, they have their own budget for these types of things. Like when they get approved for a hire, for example, like you'll get a certain budget for the hire. So that means
Mhm.
like the total compensation plus signing bonus and equity. And clearly he had more wiggle room in his budget than what their first offer was. And we live in a world where right now they don't just tell you, hey, here's what we have on the table. And hey, even if they do, because I know there's all these salary transparency now rules that are going into effect where you can see the pay salary or the salary range on a job listing, which is
Mm.
great. It's not going to put the potential for equity and signing bonus there too. So I really do push women to continue negotiating for those extras.
Mm.
Signing bonus equity, especially. Oh, and this is another point of leverage that I had. I had a significant amount of equity in my current job at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so they were able to meet me on the equity, but it was the cash signing bonus that I was like, yeah, we can do better.
Mhm.
So if you have money on the table, absolutely factor that in when you're negotiating because it's just a fact. Am I going to leave
Right.
100 grand over here for y'all? Make it easy on me.
Yeah, that definitely helps. That's incredible. I love that so much. I'm already like, man, if I ever have to go into corporate America, I'm calling Mandy. I'm gonna take your course and learn how to
Yeah,
do this
no,
myself.
but don't we negotiate all the time as like influencers now and running
We do.
businesses? Yeah,
Yes,
I love it.
100%. And it's honestly, I feel like it's almost easier because to me, at least with working with a brand, I see it as it is such a privilege for you to work with my brand because it's I don't take on a lot of brand deals because I will only work with a company that I really truly believe in or care about. And if I don't, then I'm not going to. And so it's a lot easier because we're like protecting our businesses in a lot of
Mhm.
ways.
Yeah, 1,000%. And at that point, it's your value is that you have created an audience that they want to capture.
Yep.
And no one else has an audience like yours. You're one of so yeah, it's just really about and if you need someone to hype you up, so I hype women up all the time. It's hype you up to make you recognize your own value and what you're bringing to the table and fight against that. And I'm not even going to say that I haven't been scared negotiating and haven't felt insecure and doubtful and things like that, but I do it anyway. And I think it's
Yeah.
just it's a normal, it's really stressful. Like it's people, there's money at stake. And especially
Mhm.
now I'm running I'm still the breadwinner somehow, like not working. And it's, yeah, there's high stakes now. So I get it that it's stressful, but it's about, it's like a muscle that you have to work it and make it stronger. And it gets a little bit easier, but it's gonna be a little stressful every
Mhm.
time. It's okay. You just have to recognize that, acknowledge it's normal, and do it anyway.
Yeah, I love that. Do it anyway. So, if somebody wanted 3 takeaway tips who are getting ready to gear up for negotiations, what are your 3 biggest tips?
Okay, only 3? Number 1 is make sure that your next opportunity can find you. So, as much as we love our current jobs and we wanna do a good job there, I was always thinking one step ahead. So, where's your next opportunity gonna come from, and how are they gonna find you? How are they gonna notice you? So, my I'll follow that with my next tip, which is start to share your work and be noticeable and be findable. So, that means getting on LinkedIn, warming up your network, reaching out to former colleagues, current peers, following their work, showing up in their feed, posting not just your own accomplishments, but shout out your team. Do a
Mhm.
project together and tag some people. Or if you read a cool article, share it because you want people to notice you. Be poachable, be findable, engage your network. And that is this 3 clear, clean tips? I don't know.
Yeah, that's 3. I love it. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about in my mind as you were describing being poachable, I'm like, make your current company afraid of losing you. Because
Oh,
if you're doing that, if you're showing up all the time on a social media platform meant for networking, like I can only imagine at least a smart company would be paying attention to that and being like, this woman is really showing up. She's like
yeah,
showing her skills. I'm afraid. So we need
yeah.
to compensate her. So I love that. I love it. I have 2 more questions for you. The first one is where can everybody find you? What do you have going on? Any freebies we can promote?
Absolutely. If you go to my website, Mandy with an I, MandiMoney.com, you can check out my Just Quit Toolkit, which is like a 12-page guide to quitting. I have some negotiation tips and how to, and some beginner LinkedIn tips in there. So if you want like a fun little easy strategic guide to quitting, check out my Just Quit Toolkit. I've got the negotiation scripts guide, which you can also pick up on my website. And then follow me everywhere. Mandi Money, I'm on all socials. And if you're interested in joining the Mandi Money Makers, follow along, join my mailing list. They get first dibs on access to joining this incredible community of badass women of color securing the bag.
Yes, I love it so much. All right, my final question for you is something that I
Mhm.
ask everybody. What is your very first money memory?
Oh, my first money memory. It's kind
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We take everything
of
here. We take it all.
I don't know about my first, but one of the most vivid to me is my mom. My mom constantly going to, like, Penny's to get a bigger wallet, like, one of the big wallets that could fit more cards that was and it had, like, a place for your checkbook and a place for the cash, but, like, I just remember that was a normal errand, like, my
It
wallet's
looks like
not
a hoagie.
Yes. And they would sell them on those circular tables in a pyramid, like, in the middle of the JP in the Pennies, and yeah, just looking for a bigger wallet because that was her addiction to plastic. Not addiction, but, like, plastic was, it was used and abused. So, shout out to my mom for that, and shout out to Pennies, but, now I don't even carry a wallet, it's just my cell phone, it's great.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy to think about. Like the tap to pay is a game changer. It's a game changer in that it's nice and easy, but it also totally makes me spend way more money. I'm like, oh, I'm on a run. Oh, it'd be really nice to get a coffee. Oh, at least I have my cell phone. Let me go tap and pay. And everybody takes it now. I love it.
Yeah, you're right, but, get that coffee, it's okay.
Oh, I will get that coffee. You're a pro coffee podcast for sure.
Okay, good.
Without a doubt. Oh, this was truly fascinating. I love it. I feel like I could talk to you for another hour. So thank you so much for coming on today. I feel like people are going to get so much taken away from this. And everything she mentioned, we're going to leave in the show notes down below.
Dope. Thank you, Chloe, for inviting me and sharing your platform. Take care.
Thank you. You too. I feel freaking fired up after that. I want to go get a corporate job just so I can like negotiate things. Knocking on wood, I don't actually want to do that. But I don't know, a little bit about it feels very calming right now. I hope you guys feel fired up after that as well. Mandy's incredible. She is also a ray of sunshine. I love how down to earth she is. I think she's freaking incredible, and I want to be an even better friend with her. So I will leave links to everything that she mentioned down below. But since we're talking about money, since we're talking about job negotiations, please be reminded that this is not intended as financial advice. Always read the fine print, do your own research. We've got our terms and conditions listed down in the show notes, so be sure to check those out if you are curious. But if you've made it this far, thank you for being here. I freaking appreciate you, and I'm so happy to be able to bring guests like this on. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. And if you did, please do us a favor, go rate, review, and subscribe. It means a ton to us and it helps us grow. So do that. And if you haven't gotten your free money guide, you know where to find that. That's down in the show notes, but it's got templates, it's got videos, it's got podcasts, it's got all of the things inside of there. The things that you guys ask me the most, that's what we've got happening down in the show notes. So hope you guys check those out, and I'll see y'all next week. Thanks so much. Bye.